I think John Cena might just be the guy to absolutely solidify and cement what it means to be a heel in 2025 and beyond. And that could be a major main ingredient that could absolutely change wrestling. Boom, bam, bam. Wrestling fans, we in. Ice P, yeah. WRP, we in. Wrestle Rap Podcast, we in. All right, and yo, right now, I just want to talk about a little thing with y'all real quick. Want to ask y'all a question. Want to ask myself a question, and that question is: will the John Cena heel turn change wrestling? I'm gonna break this down into 3 points. All right, make it a little more easily digestible. Let's go back. Let's try that again one more time to make it a little more easily digestible for y'all and a little bit easier for me and for my brain to compute and to convey the information coherently so I don't go off too much off the tracks into a tangent. That's the reason why I like to break it down like that. And that way we get to spend some time on a few different points and let it marinate a little bit, but not too long. All right? You know what I mean? We don't like our food overcooked now, right? You know what I mean? Some of us, we want that juicy though. We let that marinate. We put that in the fridge the night before. And then we about to take it out because we like, hold on. Keep that in the fridge a little bit longer, man. I want to taste all those flavors. So I'm still like that. I'm probably still going to spend too much time on each point. So it's going to be well marinated and well juicy. Trust me. It's just, I don't want to do it for too long because I tend to do things, overdo things for too long sometimes. So this is to protect the flow of the video. You see me? But enough of this chit chat. See, I gave y'all an example of how I like to do this a little too much. Now I like to overextend things a little bit too much, but I'm a thinker. Shout out to all the thinkers that use this thing right here. Okay? Yeah. All right. Number one question to ask straight from the top. Hey, yo, and y'all seen this headline? Will this be bigger than the Hollywood Hulk Hogan heel turn? Yo, personally, that's too much for me to say because, yo, I'm a wrestling veteran at this point, I would say. I'm an experienced, very, you know what I'm saying, fine wine type wrestling fan at this point. I know my stuff. But, yo, that's going a little too far back for me. So I really am not quite the guy to ask that question. I couldn't tell you because I was not really there for the moment. Like I was on this earth, oh, best believe. But was I sitting in front of the television screen? Did I experience the time before he even turned heel and became Hollywood and went Hollywood and even went to WCW, defected to WCW? Did I experience the red, white, and yellow looking like a goddamn fucking bottle of ketchup and mustard side by side like you see at those restaurants when you sit down? You know what I'm saying? But yo, I didn't experience that wave of Hulkamania. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Take the vitamins and see, I don't even know the saying. So I'm the wrong guy to ask. I wasn't really there through the time. Yes, I can go back and document it on tape and research and put my spectacles on and okay, write some things down and you know what I mean, get scientific with it. But I was not there back at that time to really feel it in my soul and feel it in my emotion. So I don't know. So I can't tell you. All right. However, one thing I do know is that so many years have gone by and you can see true evidence of this point that yes, it did change wrestling when Hulk Hogan became a bad guy. Because that's also when the NWO was created. And if you see how it is today, you see examples of the NWO still in existence to this day. And I don't mean the group necessarily of Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, rest in peace, Razor Ramon, rest in peace, Scott Hall. But I'm not necessarily saying that Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan is still rolling around together. But I'm saying you see people out with the NWO t-shirts. So the power of the NWO and that moment that started it all when Hogan turned heel is still felt to this day. So to compete with that, motherfucker, we're gonna need goddamn damn near 20 years or some shit, at least 10, at least 5, so we can even start that conversation. So that's a foolish question to even ask. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so we're just gonna move on with that one, and we're gonna go to point number 2, unless I can think of anything else to add to that. But probably not, because I'm not even the right guy to go through the history with y'all. You need a guy that really sat through those times, really been through those times when Hogan was ketchup and mustering around. And then he went to the black and white. All right. So, anyways, number 2. All right. This is what I'm thinking, yo. Now the thing is, right? This does have the opportunity, to me, to officially redefine the definition of what a heel is meant to be, because John Cena is the guy that can really cement that. Because we've been seeing a change of what heel means in wrestling in the past couple of years, really, I would say only since Triple H took over and has been running the show have we kind of seen heels go into a more real life direction. Guys like Kevin Owens, guys like Drew McIntyre, guys like Seth Rollins even. Is Seth Rollins a heel? Is Seth Rollins a face? And I'll quickly go on a sidebar right here, because something also that's interesting about Seth Rollins in particular, and I don't know if you can get away with this back in the previous era, but in this modern era, it seems that we've been experimenting with things, and it actually has worked to a T. Seth Rollins, for example, the fact that he comes out in all these outlandish outfits when he's cutting a promo or before he has a big match. I mean, did you see what he came out in at WrestleMania 40 last year? What the heck? I mean, I guess he was taking an odd to what were they? Philadelphia, with some sort of respects to Philadelphia. So maybe if you're from Philadelphia, you can understand what he was trying to do. But to the rest of us, were like, yo, this guy's a real character. This guy is just on some outlandish type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that he could do that and still deliver a serious promo. I mean, look at the program that he's in with Punk right now. So he can wear something so outlandish, so ridiculous, yet we don't right away throw him in a box and say, yo, he's a clown. Yo, he's a comedy relief character. He's still at the top of the card. He's still a serious character. And this is the nuance of life and the nuance of reality. Someone that appears some way and someone that appears a certain way could really still be a different way, regardless of what you see right in front of you. That's life. That's reality. It's more of a difficult story to tell, but much more of a compelling story if told right. So we're seeing this guy with this outlandish, crazy, ridiculous outfits that, like I said, in a previous era would automatically put him into the comedy category, yet he's cutting some of the most compelling promos on TV right against Punk. He can actually go against Punk and he's a serious contender. He's not like, oh, this guy's a comedy guy straight out the gate when you look at him. That's what you would assume. And that was like a rule back in the day. That would actually be very hurtful for a character. That would diminish them very quickly if there was touches of comedy. But with Seth Rollins, it works, and I don't even know why it works. They've never really explained it. They never really, is he like some sort of psycho guy? That would kind of maybe be his only out. Yet he doesn't appear to be that. He appears to be very sane. So that's interesting. Something you couldn't get away with in the previous era, now you could. And that's beautiful. All right. We're going to take a pause real quick because we got some doors opening up into the apartment. Okay, so here's the thing. The point I was trying to make before I veered off into that Seth Rollins and his ridiculous outfits that he makes an entrance with, which does play into the point I'm trying to make. But my original point that I was trying to make was we're seeing these much more nuanced and, like I said, real to life heel characters that kind of have a justification to why they've gone rogue, why they've gone heel, why they've turned to the dark side, why they've turned away from the norm, why they've become rebellious. And a lot of us can sit back and kind of look at some of these characters like maybe a Drew McIntyre or a Kevin Owens. It seems like his friends have betrayed him. Or someone like a Drew McIntyre who's always feeling like someone's always pulling the rug right out from under him. So we can understand that frustration. We've all felt that type of frustration before in life. So we get it. We understand his beef. We understand his argument. You know what I'm saying? So I think John Cena might just be the guy to absolutely solidify and cement what it means to be a heel in 2025 and beyond. And that could be a major main ingredient that could absolutely change wrestling, right? That's always been kind of a thing for me where it's kept wrestling kind of in a box. That's to me prevented a lot of opportunities to really get more deep and richer storylines. Because at some point it's just like it becomes too fictitious when this guy is just a clear-cut bad guy and he does everything bad and he only hangs out with the quote-unquote bad guys, and all of a sudden the guy that was a good guy is now no longer his friend and he no longer has any relation with them or no longer is in any agreement with them whatsoever. It's not really all that relatable. Like, I get when you're trying to simplify things, because sometimes in art there is a time and a place to simplify things, especially let's say we're talking about a movie, because you only might have 2 hours to tell a story. So sometimes you need to simplify characters to get your message across. Maybe there's other things that you're gonna be nuanced with. There's other things that you need to communicate within that 2 hours. You don't have time for everything. So you're going to simplify some things so we can make sure that's clear and easy for people to understand. And we're going to spend time on something else that takes a bit more nuance and reasoning. But you only have 2 hours. But this is wrestling. You have forever in wrestling. Things can change on the fly. It's a living and breathing movie. If we were to continue what we were saying with movies, it's living and breathing. And it's also dealing with a television presentation, and it's also dipped and dealing with reality. It exists in both worlds, in the regular, every day-to-day world, and in something that's on TV. These characters have to play these characters essentially 24/7 to some degree. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes it very special. That's what makes it very different. So a guy like John Cena with the skill sets that he has, and if they realize this opportunity before they go all in with it, it could really do some damage. It could really cement this as the new way to present a heel in wrestling, to tell a story in wrestling. John Cena is the perfect guy to do this. You know what I'm saying? And I think he actually would have a lot of emotional investment in this as well. Keep in mind, he's in Hollywood now. He may be trying to further expand himself into Hollywood, which is why he has stated that this will be his final year, because he wants to put all his focus in Hollywood. Well, if you're trying to do that, John, use this as an opportunity to show us some live theater. This is cinema. That's pretty much been the word, the hot word to use as a wrestling fan for the past couple of years. Really, the bloodline, you would say, started that era. The bloodline started this era. John Cena could really be the guy. Before he leaves, this could be the major rub he's going to be given to the WWE and to the rest of the boys in the locker room. This is the way to pass the torch. If he wants to pass the torch and make Cody the absolute major solidified babyface of the WWE to carry WWE into the next era, into the next chapter, this is the way to do it. This is John Cena's gift to the WWE. And it's also going to help him in Hollywood. If he knocks this out of the park and does a really digs deep and makes this thing work and actually, let's say, gets people to boo him, but also in the back of their head, applaud him for the type of cinema that he's able to bring to screen, bring to arenas. I mean, this could really help him in his Hollywood career, in his Hollywood pursuit, and take him to the next level in Hollywood as well. So I think he's really going to knock this out of the park, because this is something that he hasn't really had an opportunity to do in the wrestling world. And now he has the opportunity to do this in the wrestling world, be a heel is what I'm saying, and also doubly at the same time show his Hollywood chops, tighten up that Hollywood resume. So it could be something really major, and this is a huge opportunity that John Cena has right now in the palm of his hands. Okay, and number 3, going off of that last one, this truly could have the power to fully propel wrestling back into the mainstream. Let's say the way we viewed it in the Attitude Era. It's a complete different time, and it's very difficult to compare. I see people trying to make comparisons all the time with something, with a statistic or with a metric so simple as television viewers. But since the 90s, since the Attitude Era, we now have something called the internet. We now have something called social media. So I think for sure it's obvious. I don't have the numbers in front of me, man, but we could tell at the end of the day, wrestling has to be bigger than ever right now. But I'm talking about that feeling of how it felt in the Attitude Era, that perception of how it seemed to be in the Attitude Era. Wrestling just seemed huge at the time. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. It's just a different time. And I think there might be now an opportunity to make wrestling feel like the way it was at that time. And that's why they are utilizing guys like Travis Scott. They are plugging into a certain demographic that makes sense for the type of wrestling fan of today, the type of wrestling fan that they're trying to target. Right? Like I said, John Cena could be the guy to spearhead this whole thing, because he was the guy that kind of did flip it into the PG era. Maybe now he's going to be the guy that flips it back into a different era, back into an era with more attitude, back into maybe more of a PG-14 era. You're talking about wrestling is cool again? I think that's what they're looking to do. And that totally makes sense. So we really might be in the middle of that right now. Like I said, people don't understand why Travis Scott was on the television screen while John Cena turned heel with The Rock in the ring. Well, I'm giving it to you right now. Some people don't understand why I Show Speed was at Royal Rumble. And Logan Paul, I guess at this point, people can respect it now because he's turned out to be such a great student of the game and such a quick learner. But him as well, it's a great deal for business. It's a great deal for the WWE because they're obviously utilizing and benefiting from the wide reach that these guys have. They have a young audience, a teen to young adult audience. That is the perfect audience you want to represent your wrestling fans of the modern day. If you want to bring it back to that attitude era of fans, this is how you're going to do it. All right? You got to plug into these different sectors of celebrity. You got to do it the right way. And they have been doing that in the past number of years, because if they're going to bring in a celebrity, they're going to bring in a celebrity that is actually a real life wrestling fan. And you know how fans are. You know how hardcore fans are. So if a fan is a hardcore fan of a Travis Scott, and Travis Scott is now involved in wrestling, and Travis Scott is doing something inside of a wrestling ring, and he's posting that to social media, well, now I want to be cool just like Travis Scott. I want to watch wrestling too. I want to see what this whole wrestling thing is all about. If y'all was just watching wrestling, just chilling by yourself, keeping to yourself as a wrestling fan, now you want to, hey, Travis Scott is doing this. Oh, wrestling is cool, in capital letters. Now you want to talk to your other friends about it at school, on the phone. Now it becomes part of your conversation. Now it spreads this into the public, into the mainstream. And now wrestling is cool again. And you got it, to be quite honest with you, if you want wrestling to be cool again, you got to have somebody cool as the poster child. You got to have somebody cool as the representative. Why do you think wrestling was so cool in the Attitude Era? Stone Cold Steve Austin is just cool. Period. Doesn't matter if some people think, oh, wrestling's kind of corny, kind of cheesy. These guys in tights, what the hell are they doing? It's fake, all that type of stuff. But Stone Cold Steve Austin is just too goddamn cool. You can't argue with him. The Rock is just too fucking cool. You can't argue with him. You can't say nothing. So you're going to have to make sure they have characters like that, where regardless of whatever you want to think in the back of your mind about wrestling, the dude on the screen is just too damn cool, and you have to give in and accept and just say, God damn, by God, wrestling is cool. Wrestling is cool again. So this is a new era that they can enter into. So if they get all these things right, 1, 2, 3, and I believe John Cena is the guy to deliver this, because he transcends the previous era and he's now part of this new era. He is the guy to deliver this. And if he does all these things right, if they do all these things right, from The Rock to John Cena to Travis Scott, okay? Because I see y'all be disrespecting Travis Scott. More powerful than you understand right now. Okay, from Triple H, The Rock, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, huge part of this. Not to mention CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso. Speaking of cool, absolutely, this could totally change wrestling. John Cena's heel turn could be the official moment that wrestling was never the same again. You understand? Time will tell. Okay? Boom, bam, bam. And we in.